Remembrance Sunday, Prince William's personal message to friends killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. The emotional prince paid tribute to Joanna Dyer, who trained alongside him, and Major Alexis Roberts, who was his platoon commander. The streets of Britain fell silent on Sunday as the country united to remember our war dead. Among the touching tributes to the fallen was that of Prince William, who honored friends killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. His message read, "For Jo, Lex and all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country." The prince was referring to Joanna Dyer, a second lieutenant who trained alongside him, and Major Alexis Roberts, who was his platoon commander and mentor at Sandhurst. Lieutenant Dyer died in a roadside bomb blast near Basra, southern Iraq in April 2007, and Major Roberts was killed in an explosion while returning to Kandahar Airfield, Afghanistan in October 2007. Will's personal act of remembrance echoed that of millions of Britons thinking of a parent, grandparent, sibling or even child killed in action. In the normally bustling heart of central London, the Queen, royals and politicians stood among servicemen and women and 10,000 veterans during a poignant service at the cenotaph. And as Big Ben struck 11 a.m. they were joined in silence by families up and down the land, taking 2 minutes to contemplate those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in war. Then, as buglers of the Royal Marines played the haunting sound of the last past, the Queen stepped forward to lay the first wreath at the foot of the memorial. Dressed all in black with a cluster of bright red poppies pinned to her left chest, the 89-year-old Queen paused for a moment of somber reflection after putting down her wreath. As royals including the Duchess of Cambridge watched from a nearby balcony, dignitaries and politicians came forward one by one to place their wreaths, including David Cameron and Jeremy Corbyn, making his first cenotaph appearance as Labour leader. Prince Harry, who served in the military for 10 years before leaving in June, laid a wreath in his own right for the first time this year alongside his brother William and uncle Prince Andrew. The day sparked acts of bravery and defiance. Double amputee Rick Clement, 35, who lost both legs after stepping on a landmine in Helmand, Afghanistan in 2010, walked in public on prosthetic limbs for the first time to lay a wreath. He described the 10-meter walk to the war memorial in his hometown of Blackpool as emotional. Speaking to Forces TV afterwards, Rick said, "It was very emotional, but I'm glad I've done it and done it for the boys. I was thinking about the day and about the friends that I lost and the whole reason why everyone is here." Asked whether he thought he might not be able to do the walk, he said, "There were some difficult times along the way, but once I plan to do something I generally do it." He also told the BBC, "I took my first 3 steps and there was a wave of emotion, something I've not experienced that much, ever before." In Edinburgh, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon laid a wreath at the Stone of Remembrance on the Royal Mile and attended a service at St Giles Cathedral. She said, "The laying of a wreath is a small but significant tribute, and I am privileged to do so on behalf of the people of Scotland." Irish Premier Enda Kenny paid his respects at the War Memorial in Enniskillen, 28 years to the day after the IRA bombed the annual Remembrance Day service, killing 12 and injuring dozens more. In Belfast, Secretary of State Theresa Villiers and First Minister Peter Robinson attended commemorations at Belfast City Hall. And in Cardiff, detachments from the Navy, Army and RAF marched through the city to the National War Memorial. King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands was invited to the cenotaph in London this year to mark the 70th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands at the end of the Second World War. His wife Queen Maxima stood beside the Duchess of Cambridge on the balcony of the Foreign Office building alongside Sophie, Countess of Wessex, and Princess Anne's husband Timothy Lawrence as their partners laid wreaths. Before the service in London, more than 10,000 veterans representing 250 for civilian and armed forces organisations assembled by the British Legion marched from Horse Guards Parade towards the cenotaph. The ceremony was slightly shorter this year to reduce the time war veterans were made to stand before the parade moves off. Among those marching was Captain Bill Canning, 85, who captained HMS Broadsword in 1982 at Falklands. He said, "It is vital that we go on remembering. Given my age, I have a clear recollection of the Second World War, and I think it would be a gross miscarriage of justice for all those guys and ladies who lost their lives if we didn't continue remembering them in some way or another." Jenny Morris, 66, served in the Royal Observer Corps Association from 1970 to 1993, was also marching. She said, "It's a very moving ceremony. It's not just the fallen who gave the ultimate sacrifice, but it's the living as well. It's very important to keep remembering. It's not only a history but for future generations as well. I served in the Cold War. It's very difficult unless you have experienced it to try and pass on to the next generation what it was really like. It's very important that we try to get the message across to the younger generation about why they sacrificed their lives." Speaking ahead of the service, Commander Duncan McClement, from the Royal Navy, told the BBC the country must not forget those personnel serving today in conflicts around the world. He said, "There are also families for which this is the first Remembrance Sunday, who have lost loved ones on active service, and it's important that they, like all the others before through the great wars and all conflicts since then, are always remembered and never forgotten." Buildings in Scotland have been lit up in red as part of the 2015 Scottish Poppy Appeal, and on Sunday night falling poppies were projected onto Big Ben from dusk. Remembrance events across the country were axed or cut short following Tory cuts to policing. Events in Yorkshire and Essex were shortened after police said they did not have the resources to enforce road closures. But locals in Epping defied the cancellation of the annual remembrance and held an unofficial parade through the town to the war memorial attended by hundreds. Former Mayor in Epping Forest Ben Murphy tweeted, "Delighted that Epping's Remembrance Parade went ahead. Together, our community did what it felt was right. We will always remember them." Theresa May has slashed the police budget by around 26% over the past 5 years, axing 35,000 officers.